It was supposed to be a simple road trip. My wife, Erica, had been planning it for weeks. The kids, Olivia and Jacob, were excited to visit the lakeside cabin we'd rented. It was a rare break from our busy lives. Erica's work in government kept her schedule packed, and I ran a small business that required long hours. But this was our time to reconnect as a family. The drive was smooth for most of the day. We sang along to songs on the radio, laughed at Jacob's silly jokes, and marveled at the countryside as we left the city behind. The kids were thrilled about the idea of hiking, swimming, and roasting marshmallows by the fire. For once, everything seemed perfect. That changed about 20 miles from our destination. We were driving through a quiet stretch of highway, surrounded by trees, when I noticed the flashing blue lights of a police cruiser in the rearview mirror. I frowned, unsure why they were pulling us over. I wasn't speeding, and the car was in perfect condition. "What's going on?" Erica asked, her voice calm but tense. "I don't know," I replied, pulling to the side of the road. The kids, sensing something was off, fell silent in the back seat. The officer approached slowly. He was a tall, broad man with mirrored sunglasses that reflected the afternoon sun. His hand rested on the holster of his gun as he stopped by my window. "License and registration," he said curtly, barely glancing at me. I handed over the documents, trying to keep my voice steady. "Is there a problem, officer?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he leaned slightly to peer into the car. His gaze lingered on Erica, then the kids, before returning to me. "Where are you headed?" "On vacation," I said. "We're headed to a cabin by the lake." His expression didn't change. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered. My stomach dropped. "Why?" I said, "Step out of the vehicle," he repeated, his tone sharper. Erica reached for my arm, her eyes wide with concern. "Honey, just do what he says." I got out, my heart pounding. The officer didn't explain himself as he motioned for me to stand by the car. Another cruiser pulled up behind his, and a second officer, younger and slimmer, joined him. "Mind telling me what this is about?" I asked again, keeping my voice calm. The younger officer smirked. "Just a routine check." "Routine?" Erica called from the car. "Then why are you making him get out?" "Stay in the vehicle, ma'am," the first officer snapped. I could see the kids' faces pressed against the window, their eyes wide with fear. Olivia, our oldest at 12, looked like she was about to cry. Jacob, only 8, clutched his sister's hand. The officers began asking me a series of questions: where I worked, where we were coming from, what we were doing in the area. Their tone made it clear they didn't believe me, no matter how straightforward my answers were. Meanwhile, the second officer started circling the car, shining his flashlight into the windows, even though it was broad daylight. "What are you looking for?" Erica asked, her voice steady but laced with anger. "Just making sure everything's in order," he replied, a mocking edge to his tone. It was humiliating. Cars passed by, their drivers glancing curiously at the scene. It felt like everyone assumed we'd done something wrong, even though we hadn't. Then the first officer turned back to me. "Mind if we search the car?" "Yes, I do mind," Erica said firmly before I could answer. She opened the door and stepped out, her movements calm but deliberate. The officers immediately stiffened. "Get back in the vehicle," the first officer barked. "No," Erica said, her voice steady. "This has gone far enough. You have no reason to search our car or detain my husband." The first officer took a step toward her, his hand hovering near his gun. "Ma'am, don't make this harder than it has to be." I started to panic. "Erica, maybe we should just—" "No," she interrupted, holding up a hand. Then, reaching into her purse, she pulled out a small leather badge holder and flipped it open. "I'm Senator Erica Johnson," she said, her voice carrying the kind of authority that made everyone stop. "District 14. And I'm going to need both of your badge numbers." The change in the officer's demeanor was almost comical. The younger one's smirk vanished, and he took a step back, his face pale. The older officer's hand dropped from his holster, his mouth opening and closing as he struggled to find words. "Ma'am, this was just a routine stop," he stammered. Erica raised an eyebrow. "A routine stop? You've detained my husband without cause, frightened my children, and attempted to unlawfully search my vehicle. That doesn't sound routine to me." I didn't realize," the older officer began, but Erica cut him off. "You didn't realize what?" she demanded. "That a black family on vacation might include a sitting senator?" or that your actions today could have serious consequences. The younger officer looked like he wanted to disappear. We apologize, ma'am. It was a misunderstanding. Erica didn't let up. A misunderstanding? Would you have treated us this way if we didn't look like this? If my husband weren't black? If my children weren't sitting in that back seat terrified of what you might do? Neither officer could meet her gaze. She took a deep breath, her voice softening slightly as she continued. You're here to serve and protect, not intimidate and profile. I will be filing a formal complaint, and I expect a full investigation into your conduct. The older officer nodded quickly. Of course, ma'am. We understand. Do you? Erica asked, her eyes narrowing. Because I don't think you do, but you will. With that, she slipped the badge back into her purse and turned to me. Get back in the car, honey. We're leaving. I nodded, still too stunned to speak. As we drove away, the kids bombarded Erica with questions. Mom, are they going to get in trouble? Olivia asked, her voice trembling. They should, Erica said gently, but we'll let the system handle that. The important thing is that we're safe. Jacob leaned forward, his small face filled with worry. Mom, were they going to hurt Dad? Erica's expression softened as she reached back to squeeze his hand. No, baby. I wouldn't let that happen. The rest of the drive was quiet, the weight of the incident hanging over us. When we finally arrived at the cabin, the kids ran inside, eager to escape the tension. Erica and I stayed behind on the porch, watching the lake shimmer in the fading sunlight. I'm sorry, I said finally, my voice heavy. You shouldn't have had to do that. Erica turned to me, her eyes filled with both love and resolve. I'll do it 100 times if I have to. For you, for our kids, for anyone who's ever been treated like that. I hugged her tightly, grateful for her strength, even as I wished the world didn't require it. That night, as we sat around the campfire, I realized something important. Erica wasn't just a senator. She was a protector, a fighter, and the heart of our family. And no matter what challenges we faced, I knew we'd face them together. Sometimes the world tries to remind you of its ugliness. But people like Erica remind us that courage and integrity can shine through even the darkest moments. And that's a lesson I hope our kids will carry with them for the rest of their lives.